Darshan sir. Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
How are you? Fine?
Fine, sir. How are you, sir?
I am also fine. Is my voice audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I think it's better now. Unlike in the last semester, the voice is clear and audible. Is it right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Had lunch? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Namaste. Very good afternoon. Few announcements. While joining the meeting, all of you join with your roll number, and also don't keep your roll number within the brackets. Some of you kept your roll number within the brackets. Don't do it. Okay, just remove the brackets, just bare roll number. Use your roll number alone without any brackets. If you want, you can add your name. Otherwise, roll number is enough. If you join the class like this, then it is easy for me to take the attendance, because all of you will come in alphabetical order, like 178 P1 A0 401 402 403, like that. I can very easily recognize the missing roll numbers. Okay, please do it for me from tomorrow onwards. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Okay, welcome to embedded systems, and this is the subject that we are handling in this semester, embedded systems. All of you, welcome to embedded systems. And many of you know what embedded system is. I don't think you still need introduction to embedded systems. Otherwise, definition of embedded system. Many of you, because many of you have done some projects in the embedded systems, so you don't need to define embedded systems, right? You have some experience of embedded systems. In your third year, you have done some projects by using Arduino or some other microcontrollers, right? So that is nothing but embedded system. It is not different from that. Right? In today's class, we will see some introduction to the course. What are the different topics that we will be learning in this subject, and so on, so on, and textbooks also, material, and labs too. after looking at the course structure, we will start with the actual topic, right? Let me share the syllabus copy. This is the syllabus for the subject embedded systems. And as usual, it has 5 units. The main goal of this course is to understand embedded systems and also microcontrollers. And see, this is the unit 1. In unit 1, we talk about the introduction. What is the unit 1 itself is introduction to embedded systems. Introduction to embedded systems. In this unit 1, we will talk about the very fundamentals of embedded system, like host and target concept. Host and target concept. Host means generally embedded systems are built with microcontrollers. And every microcontroller or embedded system delivers certain functionality, some functionality, and that functionality happens through programming. Means before you put that embedded system into action, you should store some program in the microcontroller. When you run that program in the microcontroller, then that microcontroller delivers that functionality, right? That's how embedded systems function. Now the question is how to write programs and put those programs in the microcontroller. It is not that easy because microcontrollers are not given. Microcontrollers, they don't come with keyboards and mouse and so on, input devices. Now the question is how to write the program into the microcontroller, right? For that thing, we take the help of our computer. Okay, we take the help of our desktop computer or laptop computer. In the desktop computer or laptop computer, we write the program in some softwares called editors. There we type the program, generally in high level language program, and by using other softwares called interpreters or compilers, we convert that program into machine level language program. And after converting that, we upload that program into the embedded microcontroller. Okay, microcontroller. That's what we do. Once the program gets into the microcontroller, then we can run it anywhere. Once the program is loaded into the microcontroller, then we don't need any computer, host computer. Okay, that is the idea of host and target concepts. Host is needed because we cannot directly write the program in the microcontroller. So we take the help of another computer. We take the help of a computer and we write the program in high level language. We convert that into low level language and we upload that program into the microcontroller. And once it is done, you can carry the microcontroller anywhere. It is portable device and you can get that functionality. That is the idea of host and target devices. Next, embedded applications. Embedded applications. Today, whatever electronic gadget that you will see, somewhere or the other, you will have this embedded. I'm not saying the whole gadget is embedded. A part of it is embedded. Okay, and features of embedded systems. Features means they are small in size, low power consumption. We look at the characteristics. Features are nothing but the characteristics of embedded system. Means if you are saying something as embedded system, then what are the criteria it should satisfy? What are the characteristics it should contain so that it becomes an embedded system? That's what features of embedded systems. Architecture means embedded system is not just a microcontroller. Embedded system is not bare microcontroller. Microcontroller plus other peripherals. Microcontroller plus other necessary peripherals. These all together called embedded system. Now, how they are architectured means how they are connected and so on, so on. That is what is the architecture. That is the architecture. Okay, architecture considerations. Next, and we have this other things called RAM, timers. RAM is, we all know, read-only memory, random access memory. Read-only memory is permanent memory in certain way. RAM is temporary memory. The data which is stored in RAM lasts only for the duration of the power supply. Okay, if you take away the power supply from this RAM memory, the data stored in the RAM will be destroyed. Okay, whereas RAM, if you store some data into the RAM memory, that lasts forever. But okay, even after you take away the power from the RAM memory, nothing will happen to the data present in the RAM even after power is being removed from this device. Okay, data which is stored in the RAM will remain intact irrespective of the power. That is the RAM. And generally we use temporary data, that is intermediate data, that is generated in execution of the program, that is stored in RAM, whereas the program itself is stored in the RAM. And timers, we talk about timers. Timers are nothing but counting devices, and they count time like 1 second, 2 seconds, or milliseconds, or microseconds. And we need different time units like seconds, milliseconds, microseconds, okay, in different applications. So depending on the requirement, we make timers of different varieties, of various varieties. Next, data and address bus concept. What is data bus and address bus? There are bus means, bus literally means something that transports something from one place to another place, like college bus. College bus transports or carry us from our homes to college and back to home, right? That's what bus literally means. Now what about bus in electronics? In microprocessor, okay, different things, data is stored in different places like RAM, and so on, so on. We have to carry the data from that place to the processor or control in it, and so on, so on, right? That can be done through wires. Bus is nothing but wires. Okay, and in some architectures, the same wires carry both address data and also normal data. Okay, data means it is of two types, address and the textual data, right? Now in some architectures we have separate wires for carrying the address data and the normal data. In some other architectures we have the same we use same set of lines, same set of wires to carry both. Okay, and there are advantages and disadvantages in each structure. Okay, in each architecture. Right? So That is what is data and address bus concepts. Later we will see all these things with the diagrams also. This is the first class. We will see what is there in the syllabus. Means it is like what we are going to learn throughout this course. Okay. Next, embedded processors and their types. Embedded processors. We have seen a microcontroller with certain processor, Arduino. All of you are familiar with Arduino. It is, if you look at if you remember the Arduino board, somewhere in the Arduino board we have microcontroller, right? And it is not the only type of microcontroller. We have different types of microcontrollers, vary from small size to large size. Size in the sense, I'm not talking about the physical size, okay? The sophistication that is present within the microcontroller. Like there are 16-bit microcontrollers, 8-bit microcontrollers, 32-bit microcontrollers. Not only size like 16-bit or 32-bit, there are other criteria also, like memory. What is the amount of RAM present in this microcontroller, that microcontroller, and so on, right? Next one is overview of design process of embedded systems. Means how we design embedded systems. If you want to design embedded systems, now what you do is, now you don't right away jump into the design. Before you start the design, you sit down and make a plan. Now what are the requirements? To meet these requirements, what hardware is needed, in what way that hardware is to be connected, and that is hardware part. And there is a software part also. Embedded system is not just hardware, it also has software, okay? And we have to think about software also. Software means the program, okay? Next, programming languages and tools for embedded system. And there are many languages which are in use for programming the embedded systems or microcontrollers, okay? For example, C is very widely used or more popular language, and these days we have Java, and we have Python also, okay? And we talk about different languages in use for programming the microcontroller. So this is unit 1. In this unit 1 we talk about these many things. Next, unit 2. Coming to the unit 2, in the unit 2 we will see the embedded processor architecture. Embedded processor means embedded microcontroller or microcontroller. Microcontroller is not just processor. Microcontroller is equal to processor plus other peripherals, okay? Although those peripherals are their capability is very less, okay? Microprocessor plus peripherals called microcontroller, right? Now how you architect that microcontroller, that is about this unit 2. In the unit 2 we will talk about CISC and RISC design philosophy. All the processors that exist today can be classified mainly into these two categories, CISC and RISC. CISC stands for complex instruction set computer, whereas RISC is for reduced instruction set computer. This classification is based on the number of instructions that are supported by that microprocessor, okay? In RISC processors we have few instructions compared to CISC processor. CISC support large number of instructions, whereas RISC supports only few instructions, okay? Later we'll talk much about these differences. Next, Von Neumann and hardware architecture. Von Neumann and hardware architecture. This is about the data bus and address bus. If you take data bus and address bus as the criteria or the speed and so on, so on. Then we have these two classifications. One is von Neumann, other one is Harvard architecture, right? Next one is introduction to ARM architecture. Okay, ARM architecture. ARM is a very popular microcontroller that is used. It is very powerful microcontroller that is used widely in almost many microcontrollers. Whenever high efficiency embedded system is the demand, there we use this ARM microcontrollers. ARM stands for Advanced Risk Mission. Advanced Risk Mission. It is a company which generates or develops architecture for the microcontroller. It won't build any microcontroller. It won't manufacture any microcontroller. It develops architecture. Means it develops the architecture on the paper or in software. It won't fabricate any microcontroller that we use in PCBs. Are you getting? Next one is, these are the varieties of, these are the subfamilies. Cortex-M series means Cortex-M is a ARM microcontroller. It is one subfamily having certain features. We have other varieties like Cortex-M, Cortex-R, and so on, so on. These different things we will study when we talk about these topics. Okay. And TM4C block diagram. These are the two popular series, TM4C 123X, TM4C 129X. Okay, these are the popular microcontrollers. These are the families, popular families of microcontrollers. And black diagram, TM4C black diagram. Black diagram means we see what is the amount of RAM being used in that microcontroller. What are the communication peripherals present in that microcontroller, how they are connected, what is the clock frequency. All these things are mentioned in the block diagram. We will study that block diagram. Okay. And like addressing modes and instruction set basics means we talk about addressing modes and also instruction sets. Instruction set means like move, add. You are aware of instructions in assembly language. Now, what are the instructions supported by this family of microcontrollers? With this, we will be completing this unit 2. Next, unit 3. In the unit 3 is entitled. Unit 3 is titled Overview of Microcontrollers and Embedded Systems. Here we take the overview of microcontrollers and embedded systems. Microcontroller is one main unit of embedded system. Microcontroller alone won't become embedded system. Microcontroller plus peripherals required to accomplish the required task, that becomes the embedded system. Microcontroller alone is not the embedded system. Okay. And here we talk about the hardware parts and the building blocks. Building blocks means what are the necessary components that are combined together, that are put together, forms embedded systems. Those components we will talk here in the unit 3. And processor selection. See, there is no a single or only one type of processor for building the embedded system. There are tens of different processors or hundreds of processors. You have to correctly select the processor for your requirement. Okay. Now that we will see how best choose the processor. How to choose the processor correctly for our task. Okay. And interfacing ideas. Okay. And so there is only 2 minutes remaining. What I will do is I will end the meeting now. Please all of you rejoin the meeting immediately so that we can take we can resume the class for another 10 minutes to 15 minutes. Please all of you do it. I am ending the meeting now. Please join the meeting immediately.